Opinions my own.
And we're muting Corey.
That's a good way to go.
Can we keep it muted the whole show, Antonio?
I'll just sign the whole time.
Yep.
He'll just
that
sign all
works.
the time.
Not very good.
It's a podcast. They can totally see you, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
All right, you guys. So, episode 11.
Welcome, peeps.
No, we're not.
Episode 11.
I'm not
What?
singing it like Corey
Why
does.
not?
We've sung it
Because-
every time.
Episode 11.
The sad part is that you're way better at singing it than I am.
You know what? I
ever.
really am not.
Yes, and
No.
I hope
I'm
that
pretty
stays
sure
in.
that I'm tone deaf because there's this one jerk this one time and I was humming or singing something. He goes, can you not tell that that's not on tune? I'm like, no, I'm just singing, thanks. He's like, can you, and like, he's like, go, and I went, he goes, now, I went, he's like, yeah, you're tone deaf. I'm like,
Yeah, you're
okay,
tone deaf.
thanks.
You might as well just. Could you be any more condescending?
I know.
You're like
He's
that was
a
on like a
jerk.
that was on like a bus too. I don't even know who he was. Some random guy criticizing my singing. Turned out it was Josh Groban. What a dick.
He's such a jerk.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, on behalf of music, Cole, you're gonna need to knock that off.
It was actually at work, and he's like, I'm going to need you to not sing anymore.
To not sing anymore.
Like,
Oh my gosh. That is so mean. He pulls the Lumberg on you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to not ever do that again.
which is why it makes me cringe when I have to do, like, intros and say, you guys...
No,
you guys
your
have,
intros are fantastic.
Yeah.
You guys have definitely
About-
taken me out of my comfort zone with this.
Well, hey, that's
what?
what life is. That's what
It
life is
is.
about.
That's what podcasting is about.
That's what podcasting life is about.
True.
P-Life, yo.
That's
Don't-
right.
The P-Life, Corey.
Don't.
Please stop.
I will
Please stop, Corey.
No, I know. I know. Podcast.
Corey didn't choose the P life. The P life chose him.
So last week when we were talking about Cited on Twitter, we were talking about NSYNC and we were, remember, recording. Did you guys hear that they did perform?
At the VMAs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait.
Along with Miley
Wait,
Cyrus.
who are we
and,
talking? Who are we talking about?
NSYNC.
Oh yeah, yeah. They
Yeah,
performed for like 5
performed.
seconds.
Yeah, well, and apparently they were a little displeased at how quick it was, and so were some of the fans and everything. But regardless, they did perform. They had their reunion and all that good stuff. I refuse to talk about Miley Cyrus. I will not give her the satisfaction of being on our podcast, so we will move along. And if you guys want to get in contact with us, we are all over the interwebs. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. It's Opinions My Own. We are also now on YouTube.
Yay.
We talked it over, and we thought that, I listen to a lot of music on YouTube when I'm at work, and sometimes I'll listen to, shows, podcasts on YouTube. And so we thought, hey, we'll put them on there. It's another outlet for you guys to be able to listen to us. And that's what we're trying to do with all this social media and everything, is just give you options for getting a hold of us, listening to the show, interacting
love
with
that.
us. So you can also give us a call or text us at 321-209-3959. And you can go to opinionsmyown.co. Remember, it's .co because we're too cool for the M. And listen to the show there, or send us send us a question or comment.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
And you can expect if you give us a shout out, we will shout you out back. You can
Oh,
you can
yes.
expect that. You want to ask us a question, we give you a shout out.
Yes.
That's how this works.
Either Uncle Tony, Cole, or I. Me. Whatever.
All right.
I love it. Well done.
All right. So without further ado, here are some jokes. So what do you say we get into news, Cole?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got actually quite a bit of news to get through today. It was a big week in news. So I don't know if either of you were doing any cooking this week.
I was, actually,
anything. Corey, weren't you sick?
Mm-hmm, a little bit.
Did you have
Did
any?
you hear it last
Yeah.
podcast?
No, but I could hear it this week when we talked on the phone.
Yeah.
Did you happen to have any chicken noodle soup?
I did not.
Okay,
No.
well, if you had maybe possibly made some chicken noodle soup, you might have opened your can of chicken broth and found SpaghettiOs. Because Campbell's is now recalling cans of 100% natural chicken broth because they were mislabeled and they're actually SpaghettiOs.
I would love that. That's like the worst recall ever, and yet the best somehow.
Yeah.
I would have been super excited. I would
I'm
be like,
so-
yes,
yes.
score!
My
favorite.
childhood.
Because they weren't even just SpaghettiOs. They were SpaghettiOs with meatballs.
With
Oh
meatballs.
man.
There
That's
were about
extreme.
80 cases that were labeled wrong.
I need some
Man.
chicken meatballs. How
Yep.
sick am I?
And it was one guy's job to make sure that didn't get screwed up. He had one job.
How do you
Yeah.
screw up?
Just
like
one
the
job.
Guy's
One
like sort of
job.
nonchalantly pressing button. He's like, "Yeah, that's chicken. Yeah, looking
Yeah.
over. Yeah, I'm sure that's chicken."
Oh, we're at all these SpaghettiO labels.
I wonder if that was him just trying to get away with it. Like, hey guys,
Yeah.
we're at a chicken. What do we do? Throw meatballs at him. Just do it. Nobody will
Well,
notice.
we've-
Nobody will notice.
Well, we've got all these SpaghettiOs left over. I mean, we might as well
What do we do?
put them to use.
Just put a random label on there. I don't know.
Who's going to be the wiser? Come on. I mean, they only have to open up the can to figure out what's inside.
What was that noise? It sounded like
that
someone
was-
opening up a can.
That was the alarm to wake up and do the podcast. Because I had set an alarm in case I fell asleep.
So much for getting it early.
Priorities.
Priorities.
Well, I think that's just silly. I think that's just silly.
Yeah, it is. But it's only 80 cases, and they
Yeah.
went to Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Yep, and it beats
So.
like looking at your chicken nuggets and finding a severed thumb. I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
Like worse things have happened.
and no one's gonna sue over this. I mean, I don't think so.
I think it was back in like the 60s or the 70s or something like that. It was a long, long time ago. My teacher, one of my high school teachers, was telling me about this when it was either, I can't remember who, I want to say it was Budweiser, but one of the major beer companies that were out just suddenly randomly sent out like a bunch of like a check to every person or supplier or somebody. They basically sent out a check to every drinker of their beer. Because they found that a guy had died and fallen into one of the vats that he fell into, and they didn't find him for days. So this guy was brewing with the beer for days. They're like,
sad
"Hey, have
part
you
about
seen
that
Mark
is
layely? Yeah, I don't know. He
that-
just didn't come into work. Oh well, it just keeps
Yeah.
stirring. Yeah,
The bad part about that is that made the Budweiser taste better.
it made the oh well, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
statement right there.
That's
Oh my
funny.
goodness. Oh, that just turns
Ugh.
my stomach.
Yeah, that's really gross, actually. I
You
don't-
just
I'm gonna
never, you really never know what's in your food.
You don't.
I mean, you don't. Unless
I
you
mean,
like
have you-
raise it, butcher it, slaughter it, cook it yourself. You don't know.
You know what?
turn
I'm
into
gonna
a
make up.
vegan.
I'm gonna make up something for the podcast. I'm gonna give 10 imaginary whose line is it anyway points that don't matter to any of our listeners that goes and finds that source and finds out which brewing company that was. Because I was thinking, I want to look that up, and then I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not gonna do that because I'm lazy. But second, I'm gonna leave that up to our listeners. If you can find that, I'm gonna let you be a little detective. If you can find that, I'll give you 10 Uncle Tony points.
Well, we'll go even farther than 10 imaginary points for our listener. The listener that is the first to come up with the source will get their Twitter handle or website called out during the show next time.
That's right.
There we go.
I
Okay,
like it.
moving on in stories in the news this week. A surgeon in Ohio wore Google Glass to live stream a knee surgery to remote colleagues and demonstrate how the medical world can
That's so
use
cool.
wearable technology.
That is
So
awesome.
basically, this surgeon is doing, I believe it was a ligament replacement on a guy's knee,
Yeah.
and he was using the Google Glass and it
Just made
streamed.
Uncle Tony shudder.
You are so squeamish, aren't
Are you squeamish?
Yeah, just something about ligaments. I don't know. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
that
can
is a
operate an
weird-
organ in front of
And
me all day,
last
but
week
something
I
about
said
ligaments.
bloating, and he went, ugh.
Bloating.
But he
Bloated
streamed.
ligaments, Tony. Shudder.
But yeah, he's cool with dead guys and beer. Like,
Oh yeah,
Doesn't
that
phase
is
me.
weird.
Doesn't phase me. Talk about ligaments.
Yeah.
Because I just think of like creepy stuff. Like you see all these horror movies where like the bad guy slices the dude's like Achilles
yeah.
tendon, and I can't
no, I don't
think
like it.
of
I
a
don't
more
like that.
exactly, and that's where I'm
no.
coming from. Whenever I hear the word ligament.
I hate
I
that.
believe that I'm saying this for the record. I have the strongest stomach on this podcast because none of
Yeah.
that bothers
Yes.
me. Not in the least.
But also that, and you've given birth, so I would like to think that that might have taken a little
automatically
bit of your
makes you stronger.
squeamishness away.
Would you want to know an interesting story about
no.
the birth of my son?
No.
I
I'm
had
listening.
a C-section,
I'm just gonna.
and I had an epidural that did not work. So I could feel,
Oh.
like, internally, I could feel what was going on. It was the
No.
most painful,
Yes.
disgusting. It was horrible.
Dude, doesn't
Why
that
are
make
we
you an
subjecting-
honorary SEAL? Like a Navy SEAL, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
It's like, you know how they have that thing.
Why are we
I
going
have
into
this
this
on
now?
airplane mode. What the heck?
Turn off your sound.
I'm just gonna turn it off, Corey. Airplane mode. Stuff's not supposed to come through, right? Like,
Right.
I could be crashing airplanes right now with this. Don't they get it?
Uncle Tony, can you make the eye rolling noise? Because I was rolling my eyes so hard just now. There you go. No,
No,
you're
but-
stirring macaroni and cheese right
For
now.
real. It was, you know how they have that thing where people go under anesthesia and they aren't under, they're not like out, and that's kind of what it was like. But anyway.
That's hardcore. I'm a little bit afraid of you now. Just a little bit of afraid of you.
Cole doesn't take shit.
Oh, I have a high pain tolerance.
Well, generally women. Well, I'm pretty sure that's a scientific fact that generally,
we
by
get
and large,
that?
women do have a
Can we
higher pain
research
tolerance.
that for next episode? Because I've
What,
heard that a
pain
lot.
tolerance?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think that's why women have such a hard time dealing with men when they're sick, because men are like,
Someone
I'm
take
di-
care of
I'm
me.
dying. I'm dying. Please just
We get
call
very
a
apparently
doctor. Get
apparently
a
we get very
priest.
very
Get a
My
Shakespearean.
nose, it won't stop running.
Did you say get a
Once-
priest like you're possessed? I love
no,
that.
like dying last rites.
Oh,
No,
I
and
like the
and we're just
possession
like,
thing
yeah,
better.
whatever. We grow babies, so
We
Shut
grow
up.
babies.
I've been.
There needs
I've
to
been
be a
throwing up
t-shirt.
pea soup.
it
There
is.
needs to be a T-shirt.
I grow
Dear
babies.
men.
What's your superpower?
Yeah, I
Oh,
grow.
I like that.
My superpower is I make.
I grow babies.
Oh,
Walking down the street. Do-do-do-do-do.
so I just okay. So back to the news stories. Let's reel it back in to the
Okay.
news story. I really wish that my doctor had wore Google Glass when he did my knee surgery in
I heard
May.
Google
I
Glass.
would
That
have
shirt.
loved it.
I
Did you
wish
say
my doctor
Google
wore
Glass?
that I grow baby shirt.
I heard Google Glass.
No, Google Glass to like
Google
stream
Glass?
my knee. I would have loved to have
Oh.
seen what my knee looked like.
Yeah, not me. No, I wouldn't have signed up to that.
Nope.
Nope. And I'm not that squeamish.
Nope,
It's just
.com.
something about ligaments. I don't know. It's just gross.
Oh, goodness. All right. Moving right along in This Week in News, we have from the website clumsycrooks.com, which, by the way, has some hilarious stories. So this week's Crook of the Cast.
Working title.
Yeah.
No? You don't
I
it.
liked
Yeah,
it.
well,
All right,
well,
let's hear yours, Uncle Tony.
You know, we'll
Not to put you on
you
the
know,
spot or anything. We'll
talk
figure
about
it out.
We'll talk about it.
This fella, his name's Derek Mosley. He strolled into a discount gun store to rob it, and talk about being outgunned. Well, he didn't even bring one gun. He decided he was going to rob it
Discount
with
gun
a
store.
baseball bat.
Oh,
So he
no.
walked in, smashed
dumb.
a glass display case, and tried to steal a firearm.
Oh, God.
So the manager goes ahead and just pulls out his own gun
his personal
His
one of his
personal
personal
gun.
guns from behind the counter.
He had a choice. Like, he actually
Yeah.
had a decision to make. He's like,
He's looking down. He's like, semi-automatic, automatic.
Well,
assault
apparently he
rifle.
chose one with a scope because it said he kept him in the crosshairs. So
Oh,
you know that kid was not moving.
nope.
But he kept him there
just
till police
immediately-
arrived.
He just
How-
immediately dropped his bat. Like, whoa, okay, dude, this is
Yeah.
obviously a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad decision. I mean, but how you can't... I mean, that's probably the most redneck thing I've heard since Honey Boo Boo is a discount gun store. This isn't just a gun store.
Right.
This is a
Right.
discount gun. I wonder if they had a drive-through, like, beer dispensary where you can just buy your beer on the go. And they have those, by the way. They have drive-through beer, like, liquor stores. It's true. Ask
Oh,
Ohio.
yeah.
We have
Oh,
tons in
yeah.
Florida.
We have a ton in Florida. They didn't have
yeah.
so many when I lived up in Michigan, and then I came down here. I'm like, what is this? Like, we're
Yeah, I don't think we have
driving
any
our
up
car
here.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty awesome because the people that work in a drive-through liquor store, they are actually a lot more friendly.
I hope there's a
So-
cop, like,
So,
posted right on that
so
corner.
good old Derek. Yep. The
I feel
next
bad for
story.
that guy
Why do you feel bad for him? He's an
because he didn't have
idiot.
a chance.
It is
there was no
no,
chance.
Stop. It is the survival of the fittest. If
He's
you
the
are
underdog.
dumb enough to do that, you should not be walking around in society.
Correct.
It's kind of like
Amen.
I'm sorry, I do
Sing-
not feel bad for him.
No, you're right.
Preach it. Preach it.
Sing it,
Fair enough.
sister.
Sing it.
Yeah.
sister.
Dang it!
So, moving on, have you guys heard about the Google self-driving cars?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so it's a car that
She asked
basically
the
drives
biggest
itself.
Google fan on the podcast.
Right. So, here's what. Okay, so we all know there's this self-driving car, and you're going to be able to put GPS in there, and it's going to be able to drive you, and you can do your work on your way to work or whatever.
I want it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, all of us would probably want one if given the choice. I mean,
When I'm a millionaire, that's what I'll have.
I think I would definitely have to look into the safety aspect of it, like,
Yeah.
the reaction time for, it's just that kind of, it makes me wonder, is a human going to be more reactionary to the entire stimuli that's going on around you if you were involved in a crash?
Well,
or-
I think the biggest selling point about that, I think the biggest benefit of technology is that it doesn't make mistakes. Like, most of the reason why we end up in accidents is because we're in a hurry. Machines can't be in a hurry. They're gonna get there the way that they're programmed. And then it's I mean, that's just how it is. Is that it removes human error. If you look at most situations, it's someone driving too fast, someone running a red light, someone doing
Not
something
paying
stupid.
attention.
Exactly.
I think
Or
Right.
texting.
The
or
sensors are
Right,
constantly probing and constantly observing your
Right.
surroundings versus you're like, oh, I'm
Right.
going to get this thing out of my glove box, or oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
putting my makeup on.
all I would want to know is I would want just further testing on the safety. That's all. But
Well-
here's the thing, because yes, I understand that it doesn't make mistakes, but the other drivers on the road still will. And how is its reactionary time to that?
Probably
That's what I
going to
wanna
be
know.
faster than yours. I mean, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I would argue.
I would hope so, but
Yeah.
More awareness.
you never
It
know.
doesn't have any blind spots. I think the biggest thing is, hopefully, what I want to see is every single car has this built in, so that every single car has a little GPS chip that's connected to a network, so that every car knows where every car is, so that it's impossible to have a collision. So every
So
single
here's
car
the
is
thing.
communicating with each other.
Here's the thing. Essentially, a family could have one car. They could be a one-car family, and both persons could use the car equally. If, say, I had to go to work, and then the car drops me off, and then it drives over
Drives
to pick
itself
up. Yes, that's what they're
back
talking
home.
about. It drives
Yeah.
itself to go back to wherever my significant
that's
other, my
awesome.
husband is.
Yeah.
Then
Stops
it would
off
come
at the
back.
gas station.
Yeah, like, no, I'm serious, though. That's what
awesome.
they're saying, is that this car could essentially be driving on the road with no one in it. But
I
here's
didn't
the
even think
point.
about that. That's amazing.
Yeah. But here's the
Driving
point
on
that
its
I'd
own.
like us to discuss, and I want your opinions on it. How do you feel this is going to affect the economy? Because think about all the people out there who rely on an income from driving. So truck drivers who drive goods around the country, taxi drivers, limo drivers, think they all rely on us needing rides. And if a truck could get, think about it. Okay, if you're a trucking company and you can pay a driver who has to sleep certain amount of X number of hours per day to take a load, over a 48-hour trip now becomes 36 hours because there's no sleep time or whatever.
Here's the determining factor. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was going to say, because my amazing roommate's brother-in-law, he's a trucker. It doesn't really matter who it is. He's a trucker, and he's explained to me all the caveats. Like, he can only drive 40 hours a week. Yeah, you can't drive more than this many miles. You can't work more than like 5 days a week on a week or something. You can't work more than 20 days a month. You have to take vacation. And it really sucks because if you are in another location and you're past your hours, you could potentially get fired, or the company could get sued or something. What were you going to say?
Yeah, well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I was initially going to say, I suppose the determining factor would be, because like whenever you sell a piece of hardware that is connected, that uses GPS, that this thing, that uses systems like that, it has to be connected. So the cost of that, the cost of production, is not just what does it cost to produce this piece of hardware, but it's also what is the cost of people maintaining the network, people, the network itself. I mean, I guess for me, the determining factor would be, is it actually more cost effective to have this piece of thing, or would it be cheaper for me to just hire someone for $100,000 a year? You don't know.
What's funny about that? Any truck that you see on the road nowadays, every single truck already has a network connected to it. They have a laptop in every single truck that's driving any kind of like 18-wheeler. They have a tracker because they have to. They have to know every single time they get into their truck, they log into a system and it connects to the GPS tracking system, and all of the trucks are completely connected. So that network that you're talking about that would take money to maintain is already in place and already is being maintained.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. And then but then my next thing would be, what about loss prevention? I think it's a little bit of a different circumstance. I mean, because truck drivers get robbed all the time. They get robbed all the time. And if your thing is automated, what kind of vulnerabilities does that create for the vehicle itself? Because nothing is 100%, leak proof. There's always a way to get in, whether you connect through Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. If anything, you could very well play right into the hands of people who have, the criminal savviness to do what they want to do. So that's always going to be the argument whenever you get into wireless technologies like this.
One last thing to kind of pose to both of you is, I don't think that that trucks, 18-wheelers, like, because he's explained to me how much goes into the prevention, because you have to look a mile ahead every single second when you're driving. You cannot be doing anything else. You can't even listen to the radio. So technology would have to improve significantly. So I think we are many, many more years away from replacing truck drivers than you would just regular cars.
Yeah,
because
but
it takes a mile to stop.
But at the same time, too, it's still. I mean, just to kind of wrap things up, too. It's not necessarily. I guess I don't really see it. I'm not afraid. I'm not technology phobic. I'm not afraid of things becoming automated, because for the jobs and the people that are involved with doing manual labor, things like that. I mean, if you look at it from like a employment perspective, okay, yeah, I completely understand. You have some grounds to be kind of worried if you're a truck driver. But if you look at it from an economical perspective, like the broader scope, it can be really good, because in terms of jobs, I mean, maybe you might not necessarily need a truck driver, but then you need an engineer. You need someone who's in charge of maintaining that piece of equipment, maintaining the fleet.
Software.
It could very well take more people involved, due to legal issues, technical issues, just to make sure that everything is up to speed and everything's up to code at all times. That can be pretty expensive. So the cost isn't just, just bringing it back to my original point, the cost isn't just what does it take to produce this hardware? What does it take to support it and make sure it goes? But I mean, all along that chain, there's a lot that goes into making something like this on a large scale.
I definitely agree.
Agree. It's just interesting. It's just, interesting what is coming, because I don't think it's not coming. I see that there's a lot that's going to go into it, and it's years and years off, but I don't think it's not coming.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, look at in terms of safety, like you were saying, look at airplanes. Do you think that they still drive them with their... No, like you see cameras all the time that are in the cockpit. These people have a keyboard. They type in the keyboard, and then they flip it in, and they wait. And guess what? Planes fly themselves. Yeah. And you've got hundreds of people on them at any given time. So I'm sure that if they can manage to make...
If you're listening to this on an airplane, don't worry at all.
That's why I'm not a good flyer.
Got it.
Exactly. Like, they can take over manually, of course. That's going to be a requirement. But I mean, in terms of safety, it's already happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Next segment.
Good stuff. I know, guys, I really don't like being the one to keep us on topic, but somebody's got to do it.
You got to be the mom. Someone's got to be the adult on the show.
Somebody does have to be the adult.
Between the two of us,
it's like wrangling kindergartners in here. So you guys heard about
graham crackers.
So you guys heard about the strikes this week from the fast food workers?
No. This news.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't go to fast food very often.
Yeah, I mean,
well, no, but I heard about it on the radio. You guys, I am like the most disconnected person when it comes to like TV commercials and really big time news.
Yeah, right. What are we?
But I even heard about this. So, okay, fast food workers from all around the country decided that they were going to go on strike on Thursday. And workers from chains including McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, KFC, and Taco Bell were seeking to have their minimum wage raised to $15 an hour and to be the right to be unionized.
What?
Huh.
Yeah.
$15 an hour?
I know. That's making way more than people with like bachelor's degrees are nowadays.
That is the most... How many people striked on this?
Well, some people did strike.
And they got fired, I'm sure.
Strike when you're fast food? Like, isn't that...
The fast food brands could not afford to support a workforce that makes $15 an hour.
No.
Right.
I mean, they're selling dollar hamburgers and French fries. Like, they can't afford it.
Right.
And, a lot of people came out against it. So what are your opinions?
I guess my opinions on this is I sympathize with the want to be compensated, but the thing is that these people aren't really asking for a raise. They're asking to keep their positions as full-time jobs. And economically speaking, I mean, from every standpoint that I can think of, these positions, these jobs were never meant to be full-time, ever. They were meant to be part-time. They were meant to be worked by a certain age group of people, by, high schoolers, maybe some college kids, and that's just, I mean, things haven't changed for a long, long time. And that's because these jobs were never intended to be careers. They're intended to be part-time jobs. Not to say that you can't work them full-time, not to say that there isn't managerial positions and ways to work your way up, but they're compensated exactly for what they are. I feel like if they were to grant them the $15 an hour bonus or raise or whatever you want to call it, that would honestly remove any incentive that a lot of these workers would otherwise have to want to go somewhere else, to want to either choose a career, because let's face it, you don't go to school to be a server, okay? And I don't say that condescendingly. I say, I mean, the service industry is a huge industry. There's a lot of really great, hardworking people. I was in it. We all earned our keep. We all have to start somewhere. And the service industry is usually the first place that you end up when you join the workforce. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But when you don't get a degree in flipping burgers, you don't get a degree in, you know what I'm saying? And I know how that sounds coming from me, because I have my own picadillos about the educational institutions and things like that. But you still, I mean, you need to better yourself. This is a country where all of our laws and every opportunity, the reason why people come here is for the ability to is for upward mobility. Is so that you can better yourself, enrich yourself, find education wherever you get it, whether you pay for it or not, it doesn't matter, and use that knowledge and experience and skills to contribute to the economy, either become a business owner or do something, but when you sit in place because you're so comfortable, that all that would do is just enable a lot of people to stay where they are. Oh, I make $15 an hour. Why do I need to go out? And that's just the entitlement that I'm getting so sick and tired of our country, is that, hey, I want all, and this isn't getting into the political part, but I want the world to take care of me. I'm an American. I deserve all these perks. I need the government to take care of me. I need my neighbor to take care of me, and that's it, and it's just the entitlement. This entitlement is what's killing our economy. It's not the people who are going out there and putting their money on the line and putting their asses on the line to try to become entrepreneurs,
taking risks,
taking risks. No, it's the freeloaders, and there's no economical model that is completely devoid of them, but it's the fact that this is what's really dragging us behind, is that it's just the sheer entitlement. Hey, I deserve all this stuff because this is the land of the free and blah 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 America, and it completely, it just drives me insane. It drives me up the wall. So in conclusion, no, I don't think it's going to happen. One, having previously been in a union, I used to work with a shipping company, one of the big three guys, and I was a package loader, and I was part of a union, and I can tell you with firsthand experience that the only people that the union benefited, let me rephrase that. So unions, they offer protection for the people that don't need it. So if you do your job and you come in and you fulfill your expectations and you bust your ass, you will never need the union. But it's the people who come into work drunk, the people who come in late, the people who don't come in at all, the people who screw up all the time because they don't give a shit. Those are the people that end up calling in their union stewards to come in and bail them out. And that's firsthand experience with unions. So I'm not anti-union, but I'm saying that the way that it's being used, and especially when you take something like a union and you stick it in an environment, you stick it in the context of like the service industry, you're going to be in trouble. But the simple fact here is that in a free enterprise system, in a market like ours, if you have a job, to me, it just drives me insane. I don't see how you can show up somewhere and be like, yeah, I'm going to accept this wage, and then suddenly change your mind. And instead of being like, you know what? I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to go out there and see what other opportunities are available. I'm just going to demand that I deserve this stuff, where I'm not giving the company anything back. I'm not giving them $15 worth, an hour of services.
Okay.
It's just It's ridiculous to me. It really is ridiculous to me.
So we struck a nerve.
No. It wasn't. That wasn't an emotional response. That was simply.
I beg to differ.
That was
Tony,
simply.
I think I might have struck a tendon.
And I know we're wrapping it up, but I think the only emotional part of it is that I think what it took me to get to where I am now, and what I had to do, and how much I had to bust my ass to get to where I am. And I just think it would be ridiculous if someone was like, hey, you know what? I deserve what he's getting, but I'm not producing anything close to what he is. I feel like that, in a weird way, and this might be a little bit conservative of me, which, believe me, I don't, again, not getting in the political part, but in that regard, in terms of exchanging value and how we benefit the economy, I have a lot of those kind of, I agree a lot with that kind of, with the conservative side, is that, so if I have this and someone else wants that, they need to do at least what it took me to get that. They don't just get to demand it through laws and policies. Exactly.
Understand where
Entitlement.
you are and what you are giving to this company and or the customers, and what product are you providing, and don't expect way more than what you're providing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. So cool.
So enough with the heavy stuff. Let's tell some jokes.
Got all that shit.
All right, so that was some good news this week in news.
That's right.
I think we would like a little bit more news. I haven't got my fill, so Uncle Tony, can you give us your 2 cents?
2 cents.
Sure will.
2 cents. He's got 2 cents. Uncle Tony's got 2 cents.
So, Robin Thicke and Miley Cyrus made a big splash with their risque performance at the VMAs.
I said Miley Cyrus wasn't getting any of this podcast!
It's okay. It's just stick with me here, okay?
Sorry.
But I mean, it was news. A lot of people talking about it. They did a live rendition of Thicke's big hot hit, Blurred Lines. And it was all over the Twitter sphere, buzzing with comments on the scantily clad she who shall not be named. Of course, not to be upstaged, Lindsay Lohan announced the release of her latest single, Blurred Vision. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Donald Trump got sued by New York for not delivering promises made through his expensive Trump University seminars. Attendees were frustrated with the, quote, useless and expensive courses, stating that the program failed to deliver any opportunity to increase their wealth, nor even offer apprenticeships upon completion. Some of the classes included The Ways Donald Trump is Better Than You and How to Spot a Muslim 101. And finally, a suspicious migratory bird was detained by Egyptian officials. Yeah, tensions are running high over there. The bird was spotted with an electronic device attached to its back, but upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a wildlife tracker and not some sort of spy apparatus, as they had originally thought. The good news is Obama has since offered sanctuary to the animal at Guantanamo Bay as an honorary enemy of the state. Just to be safe. You can never be too careful. You can never be too careful. So if you're out of change, those are my 2 cents, and this is the OMO podcast.
So clever.
Very, very clever. A new study by the University of Virginia has stated that the brain is wired to make connections with people to the point where when someone we love is in pain, we will feel that same pain. And this goes beyond empathy to actual reactions in our brain.
Really?
So, yeah, they actually tested for this. They hooked patients up to an fMRI machine, which I'm not exactly sure what that is, but similar to an MRI, and it looked at brain activity. And then they threatened to electrocute them and recorded what happened in their brain waves. You know?
Like they threatened to electrocute them?
Yeah. They're like, okay, now that you're hooked up, we're going to electrocute you. So they recorded their brain activity and the spikes and all that stuff. Then they also threatened to electrocute a stranger and electrocute someone that they loved. And they recorded that the brain activity when they threatened someone they loved showed no difference than when they themselves were threatened. So it's a testament to when someone we love is hurting, we hurt as well for them.
And the stranger's like, I don't even give a about that guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead and flip the switch. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I probably would have started asking questions as soon as I saw the guy standing next to my wife holding a cattle prod. Like I would have been like, what's that for? What's up with that?
What's going on? Hey, you! Don't do that.
No, because I would just get in trouble when my MRI doesn't spike at all. I'd be like, yeah, do it. If I don't know what it's for, she does. Do
like
it.
The fMRI is doing something. Oh no.
I'm just kidding. I kid.
That is really
I wonder if
cool.
they're doing any of those studies locally.
I think
don't know.
That's really interesting because when I was learning about psychology and studies, they said that in order to do these studies, you have to clearly state what is happening in the studies. So I'm kind of confused on how.
You know, that's the thing about studies is you never know how they were conducted. There's always like the blind participants and
right.
It's you never know. And they didn't give their sample size. I don't know a whole lot about what they did. The findings are interesting. Yeah, absolutely. But whether or not I think that the extent of the pain that we feel for others is what we feel, I don't really agree with that because I think we are such self-centered human beings that that I don't think we can actually feel
Jaded
that level.
Cole is jaded. Jeez.
A little bit.
I don't really think that we care about other human beings or their
Maybe
pain
that's
and
just
or
me.
suffering,
That's just
but
me.
I wouldn't care less if it was me or if it was someone else. I don't care.
Interesting.
I
I heard, I don't know if it was Nietzsche or one of them, but I think a writer, someone said that what we see, whatever it is that we see that's wrong in the world, is most often what we see that's wrong with ourselves.
Ooh, very deep.
Mm-hmm.
Nietzsche might be onto something there.
I don't think it was Nietzsche. I'm going to get torn apart by the Starbucks lurking hipsters, but it was somebody. I know it was someone, one of the writers. I feel like that's something that they said along those lines. But it's interesting. I don't know. We're social creatures, and we, I wouldn't say so far as to infer that we're the only animals that are capable of empathy. I'm sure that our empathy in our development probably started off as part of our, if you empathize with other people, odds are they empathize with you. To me, that seems like a survival thing, and it's the reason why we made it so far, is that we're community oriented. So when one person hurts, we all hurt, so we all want to take care of each other. I think on some deeper animal level that's true. I think on a higher sociological level it might not be, because we live in a world that we get rewarded for our selfishness. Mm-hmm. The less we put on the line and the less we look out for others, the more we look out for our own interests. I mean, where you put your energy is where things happen. So if you're trying to advance yourself, that's more likely to happen if you're only worried about it.
Well, I think that's the reason why we whenever we're going to a movie and someone's in a scary situation or a situation where they're going to get hurt or fall, off of a cliff, you're like, oh, I don't want to know. Like someone that's afraid of heights. Like I'm genuinely afraid. Like I get tense when someone's on the side of a cliff in a movie and they're about to fall. Like I know it's fake. I know that it might be a green screen or they have, a harness on, but for whatever reason, I feel like I'm about to fall too. Like,
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting.
You're a lot nicer than me. So anyway, I sincerely
feel like a jerk when you say it
them
like
to fall.
I sincerely
want them to fall?
I paid
Cole,
$10
you're a
for this
jerk.
ticket. You better fall.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. I don't know.
That's interesting. It is interesting, though.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to move on to social media topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, I don't know about you guys. I joined Twitter right after it launched. So, I was really used to using the original Twitter, and thinking back on how simplistic it was, I like that. And it has changed quite a bit. But this week, the last original piece of Twitter was changed. And what I'm talking about is the conversation threading. So Twitter has now added blue lines that show the conversation. So Antonio, you follow both Corey and I'm in a conversation with Corey. In your thread, it's going to show what Corey said and then what I said when I post. Even if Corey posted 2 days ago.
Yeah, I have seen
show that.
I have seen that.
So it's going to give you context. So if I'm responding, it's going to give you the context to which post I'm responding to. And then there's also the view more, and you can expand and view everyone who's responded to that. But it'll give you that original post and then your post underneath it, and they'll be connected by a blue line.
Cool. I think it's helpful.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm like on the fence though. I like things the way they are. I hate when change happens that's out of my control. So when my social networks change and I have no say in it, it drives me nuts. And I know that's so far beyond the reality. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I know that's stupid.
You can't really expect it to stay the same, or
right.
for them to always give you the option, like, hey, turn this option on.
Yeah.
Like, they're always going to be able to change something, and you don't have any control over it.
My initial thing was, dang it, Twitter, I like that you don't change that often, and here you go, changing it. But then last night I was on there interacting, and seeing it, and I'm like, it really is kind of nice.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
So
Yeah.
It's
if you had
good.
the option, Cole, I want to pose something to you. If you had the option, if Twitter said, "Hey, everybody, we just released this new thing that's called Twitter Classic," that it would look and function just like it when it first was released. Like no retweet function, no, like you even didn't have TwitPic directly integrated with it. Would you go with that?
So I couldn't post photos.
Yeah, you couldn't post
No.
photos. Remember how you had to?
No,
You had
I
to
remember.
go into TwitPic and.
I remember, and tweet it. No, I wouldn't go back to that functionality. Adding photos is definitely
Okay, what
one of
about
the-
just the
the
look?
feature-
Maybe not the functionality, just the look.
no.
This sounds
Honestly, like everything that has. The only thing that I do not like is the whole retweet and quoting tweet things. I like the original retweet function, and in fact, last night when I was on Twitter, I was on Twitter for almost like 2 hours just messing around with the OMO account and my account, and I wanted to quote someone and reply to it, and you can't do that from the online version.
You have to
So
do it
I actually
mobile,
grabbed my
yeah.
phone and did it because that's the functionality I want. So aside from the functionality of retweeting, all of the upgrades to Twitter I like. And I think Twitter is one of those sites that they take a look at what they can do and they make it better. They don't change it for the sake of
Yes.
changing it, which is what I feel
Yes.
Facebook does. Twitter
yeah.
actually says, okay, we now have this functionality and we're going to release it, and it is going to make your life better, such as this
The
new
threading
way to
technique?
thread.
Yeah.
It does make your life easier. I can see, why did Corey just tweet that at this person? Oh, because they said that.
That's true. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Because it's so annoying
it's
when
just-
you're trying to look at what the conversation was.
Yeah.
Or when you're posing a reply and you're thinking, if I reply with this, are people just going to be out of complete context and not know what the fuck is going on? Oh, wait, no. They can see the conversation thread. So that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll reply like that.
Yeah, I
love
think
that.
I think in terms of context, it's a good move. I think what amuses me, like when Corey, when you were talking about what if Twitter came out and they wanted to get the feedback from the community, how which way they were going to go. My first thought is, for starters, they would never do that. But then I'm thinking, like, well, why not? And I think it's amusing that all of these social companies, you'd be hard-pressed to find one that actually tries to democratize a part of its process. And the reason for that is because if they gave people the opportunity to go back to the original Facebook or the original Twitter, so many decisions have been made since then with the interests of their shareholders, the interests of their partners, the other companies that are there. So the reason why they would never bring Twitter back to the original version is because it would only hurt the advertisers. It would only hurt. They simply wouldn't have as much functionality. There wouldn't be as much of a benefit to them,
Right.
if their users were to revert to the original form.
Here's the thing about Twitter. If they were doing things that their users didn't like, there would be more third-party applications for Twitter. But as it is, most people just have the official Twitter app on their phone or mobile device because the functionality works.
Yeah.
You can only take. I mean, yeah, I think you're right, but at the same time, you can only take the third party application argument so far. Considering that once you become big enough, you become an actual Twitter ecosphere influencer. Twitter. Yeah. You have to get in bed with them. You have to. Like for it's the same reason why there's only a handful of companies that actually have access to the fire hose. You have to be a partner, and it's something that they have to create that bridge. Not anybody can just plug in and boom, now I'm a social media content generator. Now I'm a social media person. I'm a company that handles things like that. They have such a stranglehold on a lot of what you have access to as a developer, and I mean, I would argue that it's probably because they have to. They don't want to repeat the MySpace. That's what Facebook did.
Yeah.
Facebook didn't repeat MySpace. They didn't make it so that it's so freeform that there's just that the platform can gain almost no traction because there's no consistency. But at the same time, it always comes back to, okay, well, the reason why they have that control is so that they can leverage that control to the people who currently are invested in them, the people who are currently paying for advertisements. Like, they don't, you can't grow in a single direction if you almost have no direction to go into. So that's for a lot of reasons that's why they don't democratize some of their stuff.
that perfectly transitions into what I was about to ask. How is it that Twitter makes their money? What is it that the main revenue source? Because I don't see ads on Twitter. Or am I just not looking?
But the thing is, you do see ads on Twitter.
But it's just so cleverly disguised.
The ads,
promoted hashtags.
Yep.
There's promoted tweets.
Yep. There's also promoted.
Not overwhelming.
Have you ever seen on the side of Twitter? I don't mean to interrupt, but you ever seen on the side of Twitter where it says, "Hey, we see the people that you're connected to. Here are some other suggestions of people you should follow."
Who to follow?
Guess what? Those are paid for. You know, a lot of those are paid for.
That's brilliant.
I'm not saying all of them are paid, but I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you can pay to increase your visibility so that people who have, like, if you share. Like a Venn diagram, if you share circles, like if you're in tech and you're in comedy and things like that, then then the people who are in that middle part, Twitter, you can promote yourself so that Twitter will. I'm pretty sure that's how this works. I might be wrong. I don't know. Some of our listeners can correct me.
It's basically there's just promoted stuff. You can promote hashtags, tweets, accounts.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a big part of their revenue. I would argue there's probably a lot of stuff that happens behind the veil that Twitter makes a lot of money on, like some of the backroom deals with their partners. Hey, if you want to plug in the fire hose, you're more than welcome, but we get a cut of whatever it is you make, whether it's 1%, but what 1% of $1 billion is how much money? That's all passive income. That's all passive revenue that they get to enjoy just by keeping that control on who has access to what on the back end.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
really
they're not going anywhere.
Going on the flip side of that, do you think that it's possible that quote unquote promoted tweets would go higher in your stream and be more or something that it'll show up as retweeted or?
No, it shows up as promoted.
Yeah, it actually says next to it promoted so that you know it was paid for. And usually when you log right in, it'll be at the top of your feed.
It'll be right there. Just like on Facebook or when we're on the subject of advertising, I really like how Google is doing their newest Gmail ads. What they're doing is, and they explain it really, really plainly, you will log into your Gmail and you'll have your categories of, like, there's your main inbox, your social inbox, and everything like that. You'll click on one, and it'll have the top one. It's in a different color. It'll say, hey, this is a promoted email. So you'll click on it, and it'll look just like a regular email, but at the top it says, is this email interesting to you? Or do you want to hide it forever? And you'll click hide, and that happens like every fourth time you log in. Like, one will be emailed to you, and if you say hide it forever, you'll never see that. And they are genuinely unobtrusive, and I can see how that would be really effective, and it's just really smart compared to, like, Facebook shoving ads down your throats and it looking like it's one of your friends' post updates. I hate that. I hate when they try and be sneaky about it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I hear you. I hear you. Word.
Can I go on a small other rant too against Facebook? just to
we're
tell you
actually
guys.
about to start talking about Facebook. If we're
Okay,
going with
perfect.
Twitter.
Earlier in the week, I was coming home from class, and I saw that I got a Facebook message from somebody, and I was like, well, that's weird. People that are my friends don't normally send me Facebook messages. They'll either hang out me or send me an actual text message, and it was somebody that as soon as I clicked on the message, it went to an app to install in my Play Store. And I was like, whoa, that wasn't good. So it immediately tried installing something, and it didn't look like a legitimate app. And Facebook was the one that took me there. So I didn't do anything else with it. I replied via messaging, not Facebook. I said, hey, did you send me this like, hey, lose weight app? Because I'm pretty sure your account was hacked. And he replied, yeah, that, all I did was click on a Facebook message, and it took control of his Facebook, and it sent all of his friends that. So all you have to do is click on the message, and it forwards that.
It's like Facebook AIDS.
Yeah, exactly. How crazy is that? All you have to do is click on the message, and it takes control of your Facebook, and it forwards all your contacts the same thing, so it just spreads. You guys don't think that's crazy? Okay.
I think it's
I just
weird.
am not surprised by it.
Yeah, same thing here. Yeah, I guess that. I mean, there's tons of stuff like that, and I see that crap all the time. Yeah,
That's
so.
stupid. Facebook, get control of your shit.
Well, and nowadays, I found this article on money.cnn.com
Yeah.
that was talking about how there are companies out there that are using your Facebook friends and who you interact with to determine whether or not you should get a loan. So they're like assessing your credit
That's
based on your
crazy.
Facebook. Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, it's because of credit scores and how those work and everything, and there are people out there that don't have any credit, younger people or people who
Right.
just decide not to do any credit cards or anything like that. And when they're applying for loans, how are these companies supposed to determine whether or not they're a risky investment or they're stable? So they look at some of your Facebook friends and who you interact with frequently. One company is called Lendo, Lenddo. It determines if you're friends on Facebook with someone who has been late paying back a loan to them.
What?
If so,
That's insane.
They may not loan you. And also, if the delinquent friend is someone you interact with frequently, then you're probably not going to get the loan.
That's insane. So from now on, whenever I meet somebody and it's like, hey, we should be friends on Facebook, I'm like, well, what's your credit score? Let me, you should send me your credit score
Exactly.
report.
That's what they're saying.
And, like, oh, sorry, you were late last month. I don't think we could be friends. Sorry.
Well, and the co-founder and CEO of Lendo says it turns out humans are really good at knowing who is trustworthy and reliable in their community. What's new is that we're now able to measure through the massive computing power. So they're
Massive
using computing power.
Oh.
So they
It sounded like you said puting power. I was like, I don't know what
Computing.
puting power is. So, yeah, that's true. Like, if I'm ever... Well, I feel like I'm a little responsible in that regard, that I will only be friends with people I hang out with in real life. And in real life, I'm only friends with people that aren't dealers of drugs and who won't ask to borrow, like, $100.
Well,
Or-
what's more is they're going completely off Facebook and looking at other things, especially when you're filling out things online. So you're filling out this credit form online, and this other company called Creditech, Kreditech, they use a point system. There's 8,000 data points when assessing an application for a loan. So they'll assign points to different things in the loan filling out process. So like if you're filling out the online application, your chances for getting the loan improve if you spend time reading the information about the loan on their website. If you fill out the application in all caps or with no caps, you're knocked down a couple points. Because they see that as like being
It's
kind of
unprofessional.
unprofessional. Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe you're not as
Uneducated.
educated, therefore you're a higher risk.
Right.
I guarantee you that also the residency of the application will play into a big part of that. Like if you
In what way?
if you apply and you live in Hollywood, you're probably going to be favored in some manner with this stupid multi-point, versus if you apply and you're from Flint, Michigan, or Detroit.
Right, and they say also that you get points they check your IP address versus where you say you live. And if you're applying in the,
If it matches up.
proximity to where you live, that bumps you up. Like, okay, you're being honest about that.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Do you guys think that it should be allowed, or I don't know if lawful is maybe the right way to say it, but it should it be legal for these credit companies before you do a loan to say, hey, we need to connect to your Facebook and have access to all your data? Because think about it, there's a lot different information that I publicly post on Facebook versus I privately post in my groups. So if they're going to have access to the public information is one thing, but if they require, to have the authenticator, log in directly through Facebook and have access to all your contact info,
I don't know.
that's crazy. Do you think that should be legal?
Well, I don't know. It's a public site. I really don't know. But if that were happening, and that were me, I would be going through and I'd be defriending a lot of people because there are people from like high school that are just on my Facebook because I graduated from high school with them. You know, I never interact with them. I've hidden all their posts. I don't care. But, you know, they may have been just arrested and for fraud and embezzlement or something, you know, and I have no idea.
Right.
So I don't
Half
think
of your
it's a
class could
valid...
be in jail right now, and then you don't get a loan because of that?
Right. I don't think it's a valid
Yeah.
determination
Although I will say,
of whether or not I'm going to pay it back.
I genuinely think you should go in and clear out your Facebook. Like I do that regularly. I'll just be sitting around bored or something. I'll be on my phone like, you know what? Who haven't I talked to in about 6 months?
Yeah, well, you know what?
Do I plan
don't...
on communicating with this person ever again? No. Unfriend.
I'm thinking about getting another Facebook page that is private and only for people that I actually interact with.
You don't have to have another login. All you have to do is just set up your groups.
No, Corey, I don't want to do groups. We've had this talk, Corey.
You don't.
I feel like we've
trust
had
groups
this talk.
or what is it that
I don't want it. I just don't want to take the time to do it. I just would rather have another account.
Lazy Cole is lazy.
Yep. Or maybe I'm just so popular I'll just make myself a fan page.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, you could always do that too.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like it, so I guess that's fun.
So anyway, that's what's going on in Facebook news this week and social media.
Got it.
So that's all I've got. Do you guys have any
No,
last things?
No, we're all set.
Thank you to everyone that listened to the whole thing, whether you're listening on iTunes or Libsyn or YouTube.
They don't listen on Libsyn. That's just
or
our hosting.
opinionsmyown.co. Sorry.
No matter where you're listening, thanks for listening.
Yes.
Listen, we're not doing any advertising on this show. We're going to build it through word of mouth. So, you know, just tell a friend. If you like what you hear, share it with your friends. You know, hey, there's this great podcast. These guys are, you know, not that funny, but they're entertaining enough. So you should check it out. But
like
there's
how you're
this girl that's
They're
awesome. You
genuine.
got to check it out just because of this chick.
That Cole
That's
girl.
what you should say. That's what you should say.
That Cole
Anyway,
chick.
keep in mind that everyone's got opinions. These are just ours.
Got it.
Tip your waitress.
Put this in here so you can see it.
Oh, okay. London Fame. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
London Fame.
London.
And now I have a virus.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
That's not my fault.
Yeah. And now I have a virus. Great, I've got computer aids. Corey gave me computer aids.
Hello? What?
Hello.
What? Oh, this is awkward.
Oh, hey. Whoa. Anything we could be saying could turn into a silly thing at the end.
Sometimes I think that she specifically looks for the times that she knows she's away, just so that we can say something incriminating.
Oh, of course. What? Wouldn't you?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Without
So,
a
do you
doubt.
like that? Do you like that theme? Isn't that cool?
Which one?
The one that I just put. The one that gave you AIDS. I exposed you. Hey, you went there.
Oh man, that's what my co-host says.
I hope hashtag skip my co-host. No, that should be its own. Yeah, its own hashtag. I'm gonna do that right now.